Ah, you're recording it, so let me switch my cam off so I don't want to distract you. So, okay, okay. So you see my screen now? Everything? It's okay? Laura, everything is good? Can I go up? All right, thank you very much. Let's write. Yeah. So I switched off the cam. So let's start. So welcome to the workshop. So I'm happy that we finally got it. And so Laura, thank you for the invitation, of course. And so I did the presentation, so some kind of the same workshop and the Joomla Deployer. And Laura asked me whether I can do it in the Joomla for the Joomla camp, and of course I would love to do it. I love it more to do it in person, so I can see the people and see the faces how they're at and everything. But it's okay. So I try to do it over the internet. So we started with some obstacles, but I think we're now good to go. So today we will concentrate on the plugins, on the plugin extension. So maybe as the beginning, so as an outlook. So I would like to talk a little bit what plugins are, what they do, what plugins do we have in the core already, and then I would like to show you some demo and maybe go through the list of the core plugins and show you how they work. So it's very easy to see. And I also prepared a dummy plugin, so to say, a wrapper plugin. So I have a small task for you. We don't have time that you do it for yourself, so I will do it for you. But we will do some live coding, even though we don't have that much time. I think it should be okay. So it won't last that long. And then I would love to give you some tips and tricks how you can set up your local development environment, what best practices I have, and so on, so that you have a good start. If you want to write your own plugins or extensions in Joomla. Okay, you want a video? Okay, I can switch it on, of course. Let me see. You have to see the. All right, so let's start. So guys, so most of you know what extension types we have in the core. So maybe just a small rephrase so you can see. So we have, as you know, we have the components. So they're the complete applications within the Joomla. So I have to look on the left. Wait a second. So my other screen is on the left side. So it's a complete output, complete application within Joomla instance. Like if you're writing articles, you know we have the content component. So it's an own application within Joomla. So with an own view, with an own administration overview. It has a controller, a model. So everything is so to say a small complete application. And then we have the plugins. As you know, the plugins are really powerful. They are triggered and they do work most of the time in the background. So if you have the working flow and you have several events. So when an event is triggered, so the plugins are called. And the plugins make the Joomla core very powerful and extensible. And this is why I really love them. And they are not really hard to write if you understand how they work. So this is what we want to achieve today. And then we have the modules. So the modules they display outputs on a template or in position. So we have several positions in your template, as you know, the header, the left, right position, whatever, and then you can just display output on these positions. So like the module, the login module, or the menu model, that's all modules. So that you can position them very flexible. Wait a second, there's a question. Okay, so you took the picture, Laura. Can I switch it off? I'm feeling observed like a plugin. All right. So, and then we have, of course, obviously the templates, and they define the output of the site, and they have placeholders where you can put. All right, let me switch it off. I think then I can concentrate better. All right, so this is better. So I can define the output placeholders and where you can put in your content. So you have the main content where the views of the components are displayed, and you have the module positions where you can just hook or just display your models. Models usually work are coupled to components. So that like the mod login works with the component users, or the menu with the com menu. So usually modules display data from components. So if you have data in the database that were stored via the component, you can show or display them using a module on other pages, not only on the component views themselves. So like you have the module latest articles, and you can show them on completely different components to set links to the content component. So that's all. So today we will focus on plugins. So I really love plugins. Because you can do almost anything with them. So so many things, many requirements can be met or can be done, or can be can be met with plugins. So you don't have to install third-party extensions. So many things can be easily achieved using a small custom plugin. And of course, if you have to extend something, you would normally maybe first. A lot of people are looking for third-party libraries or third-party components extensions, but many things can be done really easily with some lines of code, like a slide or whatever. So something like this, you can do with a template override or a custom plugin. And I will show you that it's not rocket science to write plugins, and we will also do a small example. So what are plugins actually? So how do they work inside Joomla? So plugins that in general they provide functions. So you have a code, simple functions, and they're associated with trigger events. So they are triggered from the core or from the component, from an extension. And we are using the observer design pattern. So you have to register. So we register custom code on specific predefined hooks, like calls, functions, and then they're called and executed by event handler from JEvent dispatcher. It sounds a little bit crazy, a little bit hard, but it's not really hard. And once you see how it works, it's really easy. So it's always the same, you know. So you don't have to think a lot. So that means so you can also write your own plugins for not only for core components but also for third-party components if they trigger plugin events. But the good ones, so like I don't know, Container. So there are a lot of good extensions. They're using events. This makes the third-party extension also really powerful. So the user can the developer can give you the possibility to hook into it, so you don't have to put the code into the extension itself. So it can be excluded, separated, and you can extend the extension like you want, like you need it. And that makes also the party extensions extensible. A lot of developers are not using this possibility, but if once they see how it works, what they can achieve with it, and how flexible the extensions becomes, then they would definitely take a closer look to it. And the core, we have already several types in the core. So we have, I think it was 16 or 17, I'm not sure yet now. But we have a lot of types already. So there are groups in different groups, and like you see on the screen, it's system. So system is the most, I would say, even the most important one, because the system group is triggered by Joomla core, by the Joomla instance. So the groups are not all groups are triggered in a process, you know, in the loading process. But the system plugins are always triggered. So because Joomla, the application, if the application is executed, then the system plugins are always triggered. So if you have to write something that should be called or triggered on each call, so on each request, you should write a system plugin. So if you want to manipulate the content of your articles, so to say, so that from the core component content, you would write a content plugin. So in the demo that we will do a little bit later, in the live demo, we will write a small content plugin, and I show you how it works. And I think if you're interested, so I would love to do the old way. So with the J, so we have also all classes functions in the Joomla library had the J in the front, like J event, J factory. But if you're interested, I would also like to show you how you can rewrite the code to use the new namespace approach. So you don't have to write J factory, you can just write factory, and I can show you how you can rewrite old plugins or old code into the new approach, so they are also future-proof. This is what we're gonna do, what we will do in the live demo. So we also have obviously the user group and so on, the capture group. So there are a lot of useful groups. And as I said, the content group is triggered only by the content component in the core, but not only if you have an HTML module or the content related modules, they're also triggering this hooks, this event. But the cool thing is, if you write your own thing, your own extension, you could also be triggered by the content plugin. So you can also call the content plugins if you want. I don't know if you have the use case, but if you have a content construction kit, you could also use the core plugins of the content group. So it's really flexible. And as I said, so there are events and they're triggered. So they are using trigger system, or event triggering. And usually plugins are not used to make output, to write output in the HTML, but to manipulate data. So like to check whether the user is authenticated or whatever. So there are a lot of things that can be checked or manipulated. But there are also, of course, plugins that display something. Like we have the capture group, like reCAPTCHA by Google. There also there you have the output. There you have an invisible output, except you are using no capture. Okay, that's something different. All right, so this is how it works. Don't worry if it's a little bit too much or not really clear. I will show you the examples, and then it will get much clearer for you. So the next slide, so what do we have? So the structure of the plugin and the files. So we have, so plugins are really easy to write, to understand, because usually only you just need 2 files and the plugin will work. So a normal plugin, if you go and look into the core plugins, you will see most of them are just 2 files to make it runnable, executable. So you have always the manifest file. It's like the information file, it's an XML format. So you have the name. Oh, wait a second. I think we have questions. Okay. I can switch the video on. Of course, don't worry. Okay, can you see me, guys? But it's a little bit dark here. All right. So like the name, the version. Okay, yes, no worries. And you have a lot of form fields, so the settings that you can do. Wait a second. Slow down a little. sorry, I think I'm too fast. I don't have the time, Laura. I would need maybe 1-2 days for it, so if you want me to learn and understand it. Okay, but I will slow down a little bit. So in the XML file, you define all the parameters, like the options, the settings of the plugin, of the extension, the version number, the update server, very important. So if you're using plugins or extensions that don't have an update server, I would maybe write a developer or just search or look for alternatives, because a lot of also external services using the update server information or also triggering the updates, and also the internal installation or update manager or the extension manager is using this information to show you that an update is available. So if your extension doesn't support it or doesn't have it, then you should maybe switch to another extension, but it's quite very important. So if there's an update that you get informed. I will show you how it works. It's also very easy to implement. And then, of course, we have the entry file, the PHP file that is code. So in the PHP file, we have a name convention, how the class should be named, so that Joomla finds it. And of course, we have the functions, and the functions are the trigger names, the events. The events are the functions. So you define a function, and this function is so to say the event name. And then Joomla knows, or the event handler knows, that it has to trigger this specific function. And I will show you how it works. And the classes, functions, event methods, we go later into detail. I will show you some examples then later. All right. So and then we have the plugin event. So we have the how are plugins actually triggered? So this is kind of deprecated because this will be changed a little bit in the future. So in Joomla 4, Joomla 5, and next versions. But this is how it looks like in the moment. So this is how it works. How it works in the Joomla 3 in the current version. So we have the JEvent dispatcher. So this small snippet shows you how a plugin the event on content prepare is actually triggered. I will show you where this code has to be put in, and this is all what you need. So you need just to call the dispatcher, get the instance of the JEvent dispatcher. Then you have to import the plugins from the content group. So this is an example from the content component. So we import all the plugins that are in this specific group, the content group. And then we trigger it. We trigger this event is on content prepare, and we have some parameters that we push to the function. So like the context is the content article. So this means in my plugin, when I get this call, I can check for the context, and I say, okay, from where this event was triggered, was called. So like if I just wanted to change something in the article view, but not in the block view or category view, I can easily check for the context and then decide what I will do. So if it's not content article, I can just return without changing anything, or I can just leave it out and don't do any context checks. I have a question. 1 second. On content prepare, does it mean display of content article? It is called there, but it is also called in other views. So on content prepare just means before the content is pushed into the template, into the view, into the template wrapper, whatever placeholders, you can manipulate the article object. And this is the usual code that the usual event that you take if you want to change something in the article object. But this on content prepare event is also called in other views, like the category view. It is also called. So it doesn't say that it's only called in the view article view, but it's called in all views of the content extension. And the good thing is, if you write a plugin and for instance the plugin should only manipulate data if the content if the component is triggered or is called or is loaded, so to say. Then, as I said, the context is clear that you have the content there and the article and the view. Content is the component, and article is the view of the component. So it's just you know where the call comes from, and then you can decide yourself whether you want to manipulate, change something, or you don't want to change something. And the second parameter, the ampersand item, is this is the item. This is the article object. And wait a second, I have to look some. So this is the important thing. And I don't know whether you are familiar with it, but the ampersand stands for reference. So this is quite nice. So. But I'm not sure whether I call it like, yeah, I should call it like this. So it transfers the object as a reference. The cool thing is that if everything what you change in your plugin will be also changed in the main item, in the main object. So this is so you don't have to return anything in your plugin in this case if you just change things in the item. I will show you how it works. Don't worry. Okay, so exactly. What does ampersand? Ampersand for reference. So you don't push. So it shows a pointer to the same memory block. So if you change something from your plugin, the change stays intact and will also be on the main object, so in the code that will be executed afterwards. If you would do just normal without the ampersand, it would be a copy. And if you change something in your plugin code, this one wouldn't be in the main object. So ampersand is important in this case because you want to change something. You want to manipulate the object, and that's the reason why we have the ampersand here. And we have an overview of event in the core, and I think I would like to switch now to my to the other. Wait a second. So I opened the page already to show you how much. Maybe wait a second. Maybe I show you first an example. An example. Yeah, it's anyway demo time. So to say like the trigger working, it's a call user func area, so a call user callback. So just a callback, so like how the events function, but that's not important for you, just internal stuff. Let me maybe go to the code demo and show you a little bit of code and how it looks like in the core. So I already opened it to make it visible for you guys, so you can make it bigger. So this is, as most of you maybe know, it's the Joomla CMS repository at GitHub. We are using GitHub to where we store all the code, and everybody is free to make pull requests to improve the system, to write issues, and anything. But here you can see the root structure of our Joomla instance installation. So this is the typical, as you see, except you have several things in the GitHub repo that you don't have in the installation package if you download it over the download website, because they are already built, the package is built to be installed, so it's installable, and this is the raw data, raw code. So we also have the build scripts here, as you see. So we also have a lot of things .github and so on. So this is not what you see on your installation. So don't worry about it. But you see, administrator is the backend, so it's the administrator area. Then we have the CLI components, the front-end components, images. So and what we have the modules here and the plugins. So the plugins are always located. All plugins are located in this plugins folder, starting from the root. So if you go to the plugins, you see Benjamin and Harald, friends of mine, did the last commit here. So you see, now you see the overview of all groups that we have in the Joomla installation in the core. So we have the capture authentication group, the capture group. I like the capture group, but not a lot of third-party extensions are using it actually. So you can write, like if you go to the capture group, you see we have the reCAPTCHA plugin here, the reCAPTCHA invisible plugin, and so on. So there's two of them, but you can extend. I have also an own plugin that uses this capture group. And then you have the content group, so editors for the editors and the fields, so custom fields, very important nowadays, so a lot of people are interested in this. So installer, quick icon, and the system, so they are the most important plugin, so to say. So they have the cache, the debug, so we have the system plugin, debug plugin, also the search engine friendly plugin, so that is used to rewrite your URLs. This is also a system plugin, obviously, so it should be called on each call and on each request, and so on. So notification, redirect plugin, and so on. So that, those plugins are triggered always, but they are not always executed. So only if they need to be executed, but the code, they are always called in all requests. And then you see, like an example, we go to the content plugin. So what do we have it here? So you see we have the email cloaking, context, fields, of course, find the Joomla page break, the voting plugin, and you see how they work. So they have a template. So this is not required if you put it there, but since the vote PHP vote plugin has an output, you can also exclude it in the tempo folder, so you can override it. But it's not a must in your extension, in your plugin. So this is how it looks like. So let me show you the plugin events that we already have in the core. So those events can be used by your plugin anytime. So if they're called, obviously, but you can use them. You can write your own plugin and use the core events and execute and change things. So they are already in the core, but third-party extensions have their own plugin events. So you would have to check the documentation of the extension, or if you can write your own. The plugins, I still remember when it was Joomla 1 or 1.5, we have all plugins in one folder. It was such a mess. So, but now you can define your own group, like my extension, my component, whatever group, and then you can put your own plugins into the group. And then you have your own events, and you can write also nice documentation and make it possible for people to extend your component. But those are so you see it's the official docs.joomla.org documentation page, and you see we have this kind of plugin. So for the content plugin, we have quite a lot of events, but a lot of them are not they're not really required. If you know, you could remove some of them because there are some like don't duplicate or whatever. So you don't really, like the after display or before display. So you can also do it with the same output or change with the on content prepare trigger. But still, it makes it quite flexible. I don't see all plugins. I think we have the on content after title. So this is also quite nice. So if you need something under like a subtitle. So what you would usually do is what a lot of people are doing. You would do a template override and add the subtitle there. But what you can also do is write a small content plugin and use the on content after title, and then just add information there to return information in your plugin, and then this would be added as a subtitle. So you can do it with a small plugin, and the cool thing is it's not really hard fixed. So you're not having an override that can break your site if you do an update. So if there are some changes in the variable names or whatever, but you can adjust your plugin easily, and it's quite dynamic. You can write the code dynamically. So you can see, okay, if this article triggers my event, it should return this subtitle and so on. So it makes it quite flexible. So what do we have more? We have the Finder, we have the quick system. So systems, they are quite important. So you see, you can if the system is triggered in the beginning and then it goes to the end, and everywhere you have specific trigger points. So on after initialize, then we have on after root when the system is root, the root parameters are set. Then this page, then render. So if you want to manipulate the output that's ready to go HTML output, you would use on after render or on before render. It depends on after render maybe. So you can really say, okay, where you want to hook into. You have to check and see what data is available in this event and how and whether you can manipulate it. So, and then we have a lot of more. So for user, of course, on user login, so you can manipulate the login, the authentication process. You can also write a small plugin that stores all the login requests or whatever, or you can write a brute force protection plugin that uses this trigger point event to check whether there are some failures, login failures or not, and so on. So this is what I use for a small brute force plugin. So just as an example. So there are a lot of more other ones, but they are quite the most important ones. So let's see some code now. I would like to show you a small, really easy to understand dummy extension. So what you see now is the IDE PHP Storm, and this is, in my opinion, one of the best PHP IDEs that are out there. So I used, so it's a paid one, it's a commercial one, but so they also have a 30 days trial license, so trial period. So if you want to test it, to try it out, just install it, download, install it, and just try it out. And it's not expensive. I think for 1 year license, it's just 80 or 90 euros, or maybe dollars as well, I don't know. And it's not really expensive for the power that you gain with it. So it's really, really a great IDE. and especially for PHP. And you know, Joomla runs on PHP. Maybe you don't see me now. I'm really dark. Wait a second. I will switch now to PHP Storm. Sorry, PHP Storm. Let me switch to a bright theme here, because I don't like. I usually use the dark ones, but I think it makes more sense that you see more. That I change the color scheme to default one. Let me check so you can see more. It's really easier to enter PHP Storm. Yes. All right. Here we go. So what you can do, there's also a tool that is called. Yeah, I know it's better. That is called, so there are many out there, you know, Eclipse and whatever. So, but NetBeans has also a PHP version of NetBeans. It is also quite nice, and it's for free. So if you can use it for free, but PHP Storm has a lot of advantages. So you have Git integration out of the box, you know. So you have a lot of tools that you can use directly. So it makes it really cool. So it works quite nice. And I also needed, I worked with NetBeans, and I needed, I think, 3 or 4 tries to finally switch. But now I'm really happy with it. So it's a good invested money, you know. So let's do my small live development demo. So I prepared a small site. So let's go, and then I can show you and explain the structure in detail. So that you see how our plugin should look like. I know it's a little bit clear, so let's install it. So you see, this is a normal Joomla backend. So I hope everybody of you saw it already. And now I install the workshop plugin. So it's just so to say a wrapper, so without real data in it. So, but the code is something that we will write now. Okay, unable to install the package, so something is wrong. So this is a live demo, you know, like it should be. Let me check whether it was installed anyway, because I just did some changes there. No, okay, that's weird. Give me a second, please. I will check. So I prepared a small replacement plugin, so to say. So I will show you the content plugin. Let me find it and see what the problem is. And we will change content in an article with this plugin. Okay, let me see what the problem is. Joomla Camp plugin. Okay. Oh, wait a second. I will just pack it again. Maybe there was some errors in the package process. I will create a new package. But you don't see it on my other screen. So let me try again. So let's go to the installation site. Browse. Yes, I'm sorry, Lara. I'm too fast. Whoa, it worked. All right. So, Laura said I should slow down a little bit. All right. So the plugin was installed. So you know the screen. The plugin was installed successfully. And now we go to the plugins, so extensions, plugins. Let me make the screen a little bit bigger. So you see, I looked for the workshop, and here we have the plugin that I just installed. And here we go. So we have 2 parameters. So we have 2 in the settings. We can set 2 parameters. And we can also change the status. Everything is like you expect it to be. And we can just enable it. So that's all. So the problem is the code. There is no code behind it. So we need to write the code ourselves now. So we need to write the code. So we're looking for a search string, and we replace it with another string. So it's really quite easy. It's quite a dumb example, but so that you get into it, so understand how it works. So let's open the PHP Storm. So I included the project in my PHP Storm tool in my software, created a project with the name Joomla Camp. And now, so we installed the plugin. It is a content plugin. So It's replacing a string, but it's up to you. So Laura is asking whether it's replacing or just displaying. It depends how you want to define it. So my idea was to write a plugin that replaces something, but it's absolutely up to you how you write a plugin. So we will do it now live, but we can also change the requirement. If you want to have something different, we can also do something different. We can also write a small plugin that shows image with a model window using the Joomla core. You know, it's easy. You can do a lot of things. So the library is quite flexible, and we have a lot of possibilities. But my idea was to write just a small plugin that changes one string to another string. It's just an example. So it was a content plugin. So where do we have to look? We go to the plugins, to the plugins folder. I think it's quite small. I'm sorry. I'm not sure I can make it this one. I can resize it. I mean, okay. Oh no, there's something different. I'm sorry. So anyway, so you can go to the content. I hope you see it from there. If not, I can tell you. So, and then we have the workshop plugin. It's installed, and you see the workshop plugin. It has just two files, as I said. So the minimum requirement is just 2 files. So we have the XML, the manifest file, and the workshop, the entry file. So what do we have in the XML? So I think now this is important so that you see how it looks like. And this is, if you write a new plugin, you know, you can just copy paste from the existing one, or you can just create a template for you and use it. So it's almost always the same. Of course, if you have other parameters, you will change the field, the parameter block. But for the other information, you don't have to type it from your head. You know, you just copy paste it. So this is how it looks like. So this is really easy and really stripped down what you need to have. So let me open another project so I can show you what I mentioned with the update server. I was opening on my screen and then just copy paste it in the other one. So let me just go through it quickly. It's not hard to understand. So. All right, I make it a little bit bigger so you see it. So this is the normal, like a start XML file, it's a normal declaration. So then we have the extension declaration. So it's important. So it's the type plugin. So you can also have a module, component, as you know. Then the version number, but this is not really strictly checked from Joomla. So you can write there also 3.8, core version 3.9, but it would be also installed if you have 3.10. I could still install it on 3.9. So there's not a strict handling of this field. But you could still define it, predefine what version is expected for which core version. So the group, this is important for plugins. So you define the group here is the content group. So it will be also Joomla checks in the installation process and puts this plugin into the content group as you saw it in the plugins, content, and then the files. And the method. So the upgrade method. This says if you have an existing installation and you install a new version. With this parameter, you can say, okay, it should be overwrite the existing files. If you remove this one, then you'll get an error and say, okay, you have to uninstall the previous one and install it from fresh, so a new. So this is most of the plugins nowadays or extensions have this method upgrade. But if you have a strict change, so that you can break the old or the site or whatever. So you could release a new version without a method upgrade, so that people would have to uninstall first and then install a new one. Then we have the name, so the name, the version tag, the license tag, you know, author. So you can just define like you want. It's from me, blah blah blah. So this is something that you will have in all your plugins extensions. So you can just copy paste. Well, wait a second. Just modify like you need. Load example you have the creation date, the example. Okay, those strings are taken from the language files, and there should be also in the package. So actually, you have more files than more than two files, but you need just 2 files to make the plugin executable. But you need, of course, if you have a multilingual site or multilingual extension, you should provide also language files. Wait a second, there's a check CFRS version installed if you do not use. Check C. I don't get the question. Wait a second. Can the plugin check to see if a previous version is installed if you do not use? The plugin, not a plugin. It's also possible. It will be possible with a plugin. The question is, can the plugin check to see if a previous version is installed if you do not use the upgrade method? The check is within Joomla and within the installation routines of Joomla. So you don't have to add this check manually to your extension. But you can use a script, PHP. I can show you an example later, where you have the pre-flight, after-flight, whatever, after installation, whatever hooks, where you could also do some checks and also stop or block the installation process. There are some possibilities I can show, but this is more advanced stuff. I can show you later if we have some time left. But yes, there are possibilities if you're using the script, the installation script file. I can show you later. Okay, so we have the files. So here you can define your files. In this case, we just have the plugin workshop. But the cool thing is, if you have folders with a lot of files, you don't have to specify all your files there. So you can also write folder, plugin, blah blah blah, and then specify the folder name like template or whatever. So you don't have to write all your files down in this, as it would be a huge list. So if you have a bigger extension, you just specify the folders that should be moved into the installation folder, installation location. Then we have the languages. In this case, I had 2 language files, FSC, so the tag languages, and then we define, so we have 2 languages, the sys-ini, and the ini normal. So the normal one is used. This file is used when the actual when the plugin or the plugin is opened itself. So in the plugin context. So if you click on the plugins in the background and you see the settings page, this extension will be called. And this one is always loaded. So you can use strings in this file, language file, so that you can show like after the installation the strings that you see your plugin was installed, blah 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 blah, and the description of the plugin is located in the sys-ini, and all the settings page is located in this plugin. So it's quite lightweighted. So you have not a lot of information here, but you can put as many as you need in the other language file. So this is how we should do it. Put just the description, everything what you need outside the context of the plugin, you can put in the sys, but keep it small, keep it lightweighted. So Joomla loads it faster. And then everything what is related to the settings or whatever is put into the DOM1 file. So you always have 2 of per language, per language tag. Like in this case, I used the default English tag, the tag ENGB, GB, but of course you can define your own. So all my extensions, for instance, have also DE for Germany, Deutschland, and so on. So it's up to you what you want to provide with languages you want to support. So just using the international tags. And then we have the config. So this is important. This is what is rendered in the backend if you open the plugin in the backend and you see the settings part. So and then we have the fields, so the params fields, and of course the field sets is the tabs that you see. So fields that's basic is the settings, is the default settings tab, so to say. And there you can define your own fields, as many as you need, and you're quite flexible. So Joomla has a lot of wait a second, I have to check. Okay, so Joomla has a lot of predefined types, and this is cool. The cool thing is you can extend it as you need. So if you have a type that is very specific to your use, to your requirement, you can define your own types. So you are not strictly bound to the types that are offered by Joomla. So if this is what I would like to show you, where you can check what types you can use. So in this case, just an example. So I have the name. Name is always very important. But it's the ID, so the identifier. So this is what you will use This ID I can use in my code later and get what is typed into this field. So what's typed by the user into the field. It's stored in the database, but if I say, okay, show me what search is, then I will get a return and the actual value of what was typed into this field. So you can specify default ones, but you don't have to, and it's a label that you see the label name of the field. So in this case, I just use text. It's the easiest one. It's just a text input field. It's really easy. So, but there are more tags that you could use. You can just use filter, maybe like row, or you can just say base 64, whatever. So you can also set filter, like if you want to that the input is not filtered to filter out HTML code, whatever. You can just set a row. So this won't be changed by the filter. As everything will be filtered and just JSON JavaScript code will be removed. So now I would like to show you what types we have already in the core, what you can use just out of the box. What is this? Exit. It's presentation mode. Sorry, I was in the presentation mode. All right. So I think I opened the page already. Oh no, I didn't. Okay. Joomla fields. Standard form field types. Yes, here we go. So this is what you can use in the XML file. So you see most of them are since 2.5 already in the code, but also newer ones, 3.0, 3.1, or whatever. But you see there are a lot of, so to be honest, I only use maybe 5, 6 of them in all my extensions, or maybe 7, but most of them are text area. So the typical ones that you really need are like a list or like a list, checkbox list or checkboxes or lists. But a lot of them I have never used in my code, so I never needed it. But we have a capture type, so I think you can set the capture that should be used. So if you're supporting the capture plugins and core capture plugins, you could use a setting in your own plugin or extension to make a selection what type or what capture type should be used. So we have the calendar. So with the checkboxes, there are more the common ones like color. So if you want to write color via CSS dynamically, you could use the type color, and then you will get I think such a color, whatever, how do we call it? Picker, color picker, and then you can just select, click on the colors that you want to provide. So it makes it quite convenient, easy for users to use your settings page. But you have editors, and so there are a lot of emails. So only emails can be. So this field validates for email addresses. So what else? Hidden is sometimes useful if you don't want to show it directly on the page. What I'm using it several times. So if I do the installation and I need to set a security token, I use the script PHP to generate the token in the installation process, and then I set it on hidden so that the user doesn't change it, doesn't see it, but it's in the database, and I can work with the token. So it's also quite useful. But we have list, menu, so you can show the menu. And so you see there are a lot of them, so you can really use. So most of the cases what you need, so even if SQL, you can use trigger SQL, I think, queries. Subform is very, very cool, very important. So you can, it's the prefix. So you have subforms, so you can have dynamically activated. I can show you how it works. It's really cool and really powerful. So you can dynamically add new forms. So repeatable fields was the name. It was duplicated. It was the previous type that we used for this kind of requirement. So we have text area, time zone. So there are a lot of, you see, most of the things you really can use out of the box. But there are some specific ones, like what example. So we have, you have a forum container, for example. They have their own categories. So maybe you write a plugin that you want to execute on specific categories. Like what I have in my portfolio is like to add notification to specific categories to specific users or something like this. So you would have to write your own types. But this is more advanced stuff. I don't think we have time to go deeper into it. Laura, what time? How long do I have? Because we need to do the live demo now, I think. Okay, so you see it's very flexible, and look through the list. It's just a standard form field types in the Joomla documentation. Look what you need, and then just use it. And if you go into like I had the text one, you see, you look for it. Where's the text? This is the specific. I think it's the most commonly used one. So it's just a text input field, and you see it has a lot of parameters that you can set. So there are some mandatory ones and a lot of optional ones. Oh, all right. 25 minutes. So it's okay. We will do it. You know me. All right. So we have description, the class. So you can set a lot of things additionally. So what I'm using most of the time just the default ones that are really required. But you can also specify, like I said, the filter one, or is it required, or whatever, or give a hint, you know. So it's really also quite flexible. So, but if you're missing something, it's really easy to extend it and write your own types. But we won't do it now. I just want to say that it's possible if you need it. All right. So maybe let's go and do the quick. This is what I wanted to show you. So the next file, let me show you. So the plugin language files are always located in the administrator language folder. So if you're looking for them, you should go to administrator. And then language, we have ENGB, the default one, and there you will find my workshop language files. So let me check. It's always the same name convention as you see. It's important that you follow them. So like for my workshop, is it ENGB, so the tag, language tag, then PLG underscore content, so the type, and then the name of the identifier, the ID of the plugin, so it's the name of the plugin, so to say. And there you see we have the sys folder, and we have the normal language folder that is used for settings. So usually what I would also suggest, this is like we do it in the core, to write it like this. So this is what I would change. But this is up to you actually. But you should also follow this convention. So you also use it like here, like in the core with the type in it. But this is up to you. This is how you use it in your code. So you can write there anything what you want and just use the right strings, you know, string constants. But it's okay. That's anyway. So it's here. So now let's go to the starting entry point. So this is really quite stripped down. You see, nothing happens here actually. But what is important? So let me make it bigger, presentation mode, and then I can show you a little bit more. So usually you have here more information like the version number, blah blah blah, whatever. So this is very important. This is what you have to add to all your extensions. This just says if this constant is defined, then the flow can go on. So the code afterwards is executed. If not, we just die. So we just exit it, and no output, nothing. The process will stop immediately. So this is very important because this helps you, or this stops calls to the file directly, direct calls to the files. So if you have maybe an extension that has a problem, maybe has a flow, whatever, security flow, this file can still not be called directly. So you cannot type blah 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 workshop PHP in your browser in the URL and open it. You will just see restricted access. But if you go to the Joomla application, then this constant is defined and the code will process. So the code flow will process. So there will not be no dying. So this is very important. This is that you have to put in all your PHP files. This is very important. So and then we have defined a class, and this class follows also the name convention. So it's for PLG, it's for plugins. Then we have the content. We have content here, so it's the group. It's the plugin group, and the name of the so the element, the ID of the plugin, so workshop in this case. If you don't follow it and you have something like this, plugin blah blah blah, like this won't be executed. So this event won't be called if you don't follow, because Joomla, the event handler, cannot find your events, so your plugin, because it has a strict name convention, and only like this. So if it's named properly, it will find your function and all your events that you want to be executed. And then we have the construct, so we can call, we just set all what we need from the parent, and the parent is the J plugin. This is the old way, like we did in previously. So in the previous versions, it's deprecated, but it still works in the Joomla 3. In Joomla 3.x. But I will show you now how we rewrite it, how you can rewrite and use the new namespace approach. But this is just an example. Just I did it intentionally there. I put it in the chat there to show you how you rewrite it, how you can rewrite it. So I think, and then you have you can just like this to make it better. So you have bubble function, and then this must be familiar to you, right? So you have the onContentPrepare function. And this is nothing, this is the same name like I showed you how the trigger plugin. So onContentPrepare. This just says when the onContentPrepare hook, so the event is triggered, then it will also call your code if you use the same trigger event. So I want to use the onContentPrepare hook or trigger event, and this will be called from the content in our case. And you see all the parameters that I sent as a second argument are also here in the parameter list. And you see we have the articles. So you can also, it was differently, it was item. It doesn't matter, we can use item. Then we have to rewrite it here. So you see it's the same. And we have the ampersand, so it means, so we get a reference. Okay, all right, so where is it triggered? I have to hurry, or we will do the whole day if you don't mind, Laura. I think you might. Okay. All right. So I show you where this code actually is triggered. Like in the content, if you go to the views in the article view. So this is if you load an article, this view will be loaded. And we have the preparation file, so where everything is put together, the items are collected from the database, from the model, and so on, blah, 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 blah. And you see, yeah, wait a second now. I show you an example that just easy to understand. And there's nothing more. You see how it's done. So I took the example in my slides directly from the core code. So this is where import plugin content. And here the onContentPrepare is triggered. So if you want to adjust a component before you start hacking something, always look whether they have some events that you can really use in a plugin, in written custom plugin. So you have an event, and then you see item is here, and this is an object from the article. And all right, so let's do some coding. Laura says I should do blah, blah. Let's do an example. So the example is, if you open the Joomla website, my example is, wow, WordPress is great, you know? And then you see, WordPress is the best CMS in the world. Nah, not true. All right, we should change it. How do we change it? So, and this is just an example. Maybe you have a company name that changes or whatever, so or product name. So you don't want to look through all your articles, change it. But we can do it on the fly. So let's say, okay, WordPress is great, of course, obviously, but Joomla is way better. So we want to change it. So we're not WordPress, we want to use Joomla. And this is where our small plugin comes in place now. So we search for WordPress. And the replacement will be obviously Joomla. So we store it. Wow, great, stored, everything is cool. We reload it. Won't work. Why? We don't have the code written yet. So you see, it's still the same. Of course, we need to write the code now. So what we could do, what you usually should do, use Xdebug to debug it, but I don't have the time now. So Laura said it, so let's do it quickly. So we get the search string. So this is always the same. This, params, get, and then we use the same ID, the name, like you have it defined in your XML file, like this. So now we have the search string, and then we need the replacement string. This is how I defined it. So it's you can put there anything that you want, but it's just an example here in the demo. I think I just named it replace. Yeah. or replacement, it doesn't matter. It's up to you how you call them. So now we have the source strings, we have the replacement strings. Now we need to check, okay, we need to change the title and the contents of the article. What we're gonna do, the easiest way is to set a breakpoint here and then call the site again to see what variables are defined actually. Now we have a breakpoint here, we stop here. Let's go a little bit further, search string. Now you see we have the search string Joomla, we have the replacement string Joomla, sorry, the search string WordPress, and we have the item. So the item, alright, so the item is an object and it has a title. So we replace the title. So we need, what we need actually, because it's in reference, we just need to set it like this. So item, titles, the new item title should be string replace. So we replace, so the search, we search for the search string should be replaced with a replacement string in the item title, so where we are looking for it. All right, so this is what we actually have, nothing more. No, this plugin is triggered on the fly dynamically. So the question is, does the plugin replace the string within the article itself or just within the output of the article? In this case, it only changes the content, the information on the fly. So it does not change the information in the database. If you need something like this, you would write something different. You would store the article, or you can just go into the database and change the strings directly there. This is just an on-the-fly change. So the article itself, the item is not changed in the database. That's important to know. And you see what we got? Okay, we got it. The breakpoint here. Anyway, I will remove it. Oh, I have a undefined. Wait, I called it differently. Wasn't it title? Oh, item, sorry. It should be title, obviously. So you see, this is how you find bugs in your code. So this is important to have an PHP error, maximum error output. Bam. All right. So, wow, Joomla is great. Sorry, that was a little bit loud. But we still didn't touch the text. So we have to replace the same for the text. I'm not sure. I don't want to lose time. I just go with the intro text. I think it's the name or the text. You would have to check. I have to hurry a little bit. Maybe it was not intro text. It's not defined. Okay. So what I would do now is just stop it again here. Call it. Then I can see what item consists of, and you see it's intro text. I use intro text. What is wrong? Okay, and we also have text, so maybe it is text. Oh. Yeah, maybe it's full text. I'm not sure yet. Now, wait a second. I just tested the title to be sure that it works. Check. Yeah, it was just text. And you see, you change it on the fly with a small plugin with 2 or 3 or 4 lines of code. And this change will be triggered now in all your articles. So if you have to change something globally, you can just write this small plugin. The cool thing is nobody knows about the plugin. It's also secure from the security point of view, quite secure, you know, because it's not an where the user can attack it. Knows how to find the flow, because with your inside code nobody has the code. But you see it works. So Joomla is the best. You must know where Joomla is great. So it works also in the comp view. And this is just an example for the comp content. If you want to change text globally, not only in your articles, you would write a system plugin and use the on before render event. And from there, you would just do the same changes. You can do it as dynamic or whatever. So it's really easy, and it's just 4 lines of code, and it works easily. So this is how plugins work, and you see how easy it is to manipulate data on the fly, and makes it really strong and powerful. I'll have some slides left if you don't mind. So 5 minutes should be enough. Just to give you some. No, I don't have to breathe. No, I said I should breathe more. Wait a second. So if you're starting to write, so okay. Well, I wanted to show you more. Yeah, I don't know. Laura, if you give me some minutes, I will show you, but it's okay. So use the API, obviously. So look what you can use, because a lot of things. Yeah, sure. Why not? We can do it on a second session, maybe. You have a lot of things in the core already, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Check a look on the API and look how things work. You can get a lot of things directly from the library, from the Joomla API. So we use also the MVC pattern. So you have the model view controller. So the data module, the presentation layer, so the program control model. So if you're writing components, you should follow this MVC pattern. But for plugins modules, it's not the same, so you don't need it. So it's a little bit different approach. And of course, overrides. So overrides are really strong, but as I said, plugins are way stronger. So you can do more with plugins. But still, you should consider also write plugins using overrides instead of just searching for third-party extensions. And they have a lot of more things in the core that you really actually need. So what important classes functions do we have? So of course, the namespaces part, I will overjump it. Maybe we'll do it in the next time if you're interested. But the factory is quite important, so you can get the application, so get users. So you have always one instance per object. So you can get the database, the document object. So if you look into the Joomla code, you will see a lot of usage of the factory class. And of course, like the input, we have the input class. So you don't process parameters, request parameters directly. So not post, get, whatever. Please never do it. It's not secure. Always use the input class to go through it, because then everything is validated and, bad code is stripped out and everything. So the possibilities are there. So just use it. So the document processing for HTML, JSON, so you have different types of documents. If you want to add metadata, like my example, I have the easy frontend SEO. I manipulate the metadata. I use the document class to change the loaded JavaScript, the loaded CSS files. You can concatenate them and so on. So that you would use this class. So you have the HTML helper, so you can just put some blocks, infos out, so just small things that help you to write tooltips or whatever. Also the HTTP is really cool, so you don't have to write the curl code there. Everything is done automatically. It's just one call using the HTTP class that is in the library, and you're good. And so on. So they are quite important classes. I will go on. So best practices if you're starting. So this is maybe also, I think, important for you to get out of the workshop. So always use an IDE, so an integrated development environment. That's very important to really to start working more professionally, not using just a notepad or whatever, editor, because it helps you on a lot of things. So also the code completion, as you saw when I start typing, it showed me what I can use actually, and it helps you a lot. So I don't have it, I don't do it from my head, out of my head. So it's helped me a lot. An IDE. Use an update server if you're putting your stuff out there publicly. So code sniff or code style formatting, so everybody, you see, it's more professional if you have well formatted code, and it helps you to keep the overview. And what settings do we have? Sorry that I'm here. I just want to go through my slides. Not long, Laura, just 1 minute, 2 minutes more. So if you are setting your local environment, so use always the Joomla, what I'm using. What I do is use always the latest Joomla version. And of course, do also some tests with older versions, but I'm developing on the latest versions. I do not never install demo data. If I need data, I create it myself. Also, take a look. A lot of people are not doing it. Developer Joomla debugger. So we have a nice Joomla debugger. So you can activate it in the global settings, and it's also a plugin that is pre-enabled if you install Joomla. If you are not using debugger, as a tip, always but disable the debugger plugin. It doesn't have to be triggered if the global setting is not enabled. But there you can get a lot of information that will help you to find bottlenecks. If you have how much memory consumption you have there, or how many database queries. If you have a bug in the code, maybe you do, instead of 1 or 2 queries, you will do 100 or 1,000 queries. So, or if you load a lot of, maybe you need just to show 3 articles and you forget to limit it. and then your code will execute or go through all thousands, 10,000 articles, and you will see the bottlenecks quite easily from the use of the Joomla debugger. And of course, disable search engine-friendly URLs. Not of course, but you should do it, because then you see the parameters directly in the URL. Like option is content, view is article, so it helps you to find things easier if you see the parameters that were created and used in the call, in the request. And the settings in your local environment. So I use always a local environment, like on a Mac it's like MUMP, whatever Pro. If you're on Windows, you can use EasyPHP or whatever, XAMPP, WAMP server. There are a lot of out there, so just install it and you're ready to go. So they have a specific port, like for instance, localhost port 888, whatever. So it depends what you're using, but it makes it a lot of easier. So everything is in place, everything is local, and it makes it also faster. But there are other approaches like Docker containers and so on. But I like it, and it's quite convenient to use it directly on the machine. It's really easy, and it's integrated directly in the IDE. So set the PHP error level to maximum, like we saw it. I used the wrong attribute, and I saw directly that something is wrong. So I know where to look. That helps you a lot. Then increase, what I do is in the beginning, so increase the server limits, but when I'm doing the testing then, of course under real conditions. So if your code needs 1 gigabyte of RAM of memory, so it most likely won't work out there in the real world. So you have to check also on the real conditions. And one of the most important things that you really want to learn and understand how Joomla works and anything in developing using debugger. This is very, very important. Like in PHP debugger, we have Xdebug in PHP, so it's integrated directly, like I said, in the IDE. You just need to listen to it and set a breakpoint, like I showed you, sorry, and then you can just use it directly. And this is so important. This is where I got a way higher level when I started to use the debugger. So I really, only then I understood how it actually works. You have this like, you see from where the codes are coming, why they are doing this, what types are defined, and everything. So you know how the process within the Joomla application is, and you know where you can hook into it and so on. So you will learn a lot if you're using a debugger. So maybe this is the most important thing that you should take out of this 1 hour workshop. And of course, I use one project, for one project, always one single Joomla instance, so I strictly separated. So I think that's good for now. So I think guys hate the coding, so don't try go out and just do it. Just try it. It's not that hard as you saw. Maybe it was now too fast. Maybe Laura, maybe we should do a 1 or 2 day workshop in person, in New York, if you invite me. And I think you can learn of me definitely more. Yeah.
Sure, we could definitely do a 3-day workshop with just Viktor Vogel. That's what you want, right?
Sorry, I didn't get you. I didn't get you. What?
You want a 3-day workshop?
I would love to do it.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but you know what? Not remotely. I would love to be in person there to see the people. I love it more.
Oh, here, wait. I'm going to get you to see people. Wait, Olivia, can you turn your camera on? So the first
yeah, let me see.
Hold on, Victor. Hold on.
I'm here. I have time. Don't worry.
Okay, hold on, Victor. Hold on. We're getting you back on.
Yeah, make it happen.
Hold on. I'm making it.
Oh,
so,
Michael, I see you.
You see Olivier?
I just see Michael.
Thank you. Okay, wait. Okay, so Victor, can you see everybody now?
Hey guys. But
Thank you.
Can I? Hey, Olivier, how are you, my friend? Hey, nice to see you.
Okay.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for presenting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Come on here.
Thank you, guys. What was it too fast or was it okay? Could you get something out of it?
Yes.
It was good. It was good.
Very good. Very
Yeah.
well.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't have too much time, you know, but it's okay. It's a beginning, you know.
It's okay. Thank
Right.
you. Thank you. You did great.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for inviting me and for having me.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Thank you. You
Have a
mean
good
night,
night.
so it's 9 p.m., you know. I should go to bed now.
For those of you that are on internet, we're going to pick up again at 4 p.m. Eastern time, so in about an hour. And
Yeah.
Elisa is presenting in an hour, so if you want to come back.
Yeah, maybe I will join. I will see. Yes, of course.
Good. All right. Thanks
All right.
again.
Thank you, guys,
Okay.
and I hope to see you one day in live, you know, and then we will do it. Laura, don't forget it. I like your offer.
I will. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you, guys. Have fun.
Bye-bye.
Joomla is great.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.